Hey, what's up, fam? It's Chappell, and I wanted to welcome you back again to a Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the Westeros Kickback, our recap of episode 4 of this new season. And with me, as usual, to talk about what I would say is probably the most exciting episode. It's building, it's building, it's building. Mari, welcome back. Maester Mari, I'm sorry.
Yay. Yes, we're back. We're here. We're talking Dunk and Egg. I think a lot of people were excited about this one. So this is great. I've just been having so much fun talking about this show, and I'm so glad that people are like coming around to it.
Right. At first, it was very kind of like, I don't know, this ain't my Game of Thrones. It's not, they're not killing enough people, whatever. There's no dragons, blah, blah. But I think we've really got to the point where I'm locked in. I don't see how you couldn't be at this point. But because we've gotten to such a great episode, we had to reach out for a great guest, somebody who I know is very knowledgeable about Westeros and all things Game of Thrones. We have, I guess, our backup maester here, Taran Armstrong. Taran, welcome.
Hello. Oh, God, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. Mari is our book expert here, but I also know that you have read, George R. R. Martin's works. So tell us, what is your background with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, all that good stuff?
I mean, obviously, I've read the main series. I was like an OG book reader before the show. I did read Fire and Blood. I've actually not read the Dunk and Egg series. I don't even know when it was published. I'm being real.
The 90s as well, surprisingly.
Okay. So it was before. And
Mhm.
then he still only has that's
3
fine.
of them. Yeah.
He's like, I got 12 more in me. Sure, George. Either way, I've only ever heard good things. I've always meant to read them. But normally when I'm like reading through a series, I'm like, I'll finish the main series and then I'll get to some of that extra stuff. The only reason I read Fire and Blood was because there was this fun podcast I listened to that reenacted it in the form of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love hardcore history.
Not the whole thing. Just
Mhm.
certain like bits of it, but like certain bits of the history. But it was actually a very fun podcast. Hard to find now, probably.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's about my knowledge. And while I've read a lot of these things, I'm not the person to be able to tell you the bloodline of X family. Like I'm bad with names.
Well, luckily, we have a maester. Now she's also bad with names, but she knows the people. Okay. So if anybody
little
is
bit.
new here and just came here because Taran was here, welcome. What we do is we talk about the episode, we get into all of our thoughts and opinions about it, and then at the end we let the good Maester Mari tell us about the books, because Mari has read the all of this and she too is waiting on George R. R. Martin to finish literally anything. So we'll give you that at the end. Mari, what's that eye twitch?
If George R. R. Martin has no haters, I am dead. Our listeners, our the hardcore listeners know how much I despise this man for playing with my emotions, not releasing books in 15 years and such. But you know what? If we're in front of company, so I'm gonna keep it cute.
Yes. I became an author, wrote a book, and published it. Well within the space between the last time I read it.
Well within.
Yeah, what? Like it's hard? Just write a book. Okay, I got it. Look, if Taran can do it, George R. R. Martin, I'm sure you could do another one. I'm just saying,
Yes.
what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about this. This is called Seven. And Mari, we kind of talked about what this could look like with Dunk getting into the trouble last episode. He did a bad thing, right? He struck a prince or a noble person or whatever the case may be. And so instead of getting curb stomped, he is now imprisoned in this episode, awaiting his trial. Now, his trial, it seems like, was already a stretch. Like, I want to talk about, I guess we should start with the MVP of this episode, Baelor. Mari, this man was pulling all the strings for Dunk throughout this entire episode.
Yes, he was. He's like kind of so subtly telling Dunk, like, Yeah. So how good are you with that thing? Like, are you? How good are you a knight? Because as we've seen several times over in Game of Thrones, you do have the option. You can do the trial, like Chappelle said, a quote unquote trial, which we've seen how those trials go. Think of Tyrion's trial in season 4. Um, or you can do trial by combat, which seems way more seems way more common in Game of Thrones than you would
Mhm.
think. So it's kind of like Baylor was giving Dunk like the heads up, kind of like, hey, maybe try this. And Baylor seems like a just prince. We do know he is the heir to the throne, and he seems to be like, "Ah, I know, I'm sorry. My family is just the worst." You know what I'm saying? Type
Mhm.
thing. Trying to like help here.
Taran, to me, he's raising the Targaryen stock a lot. Like I don't think highly of these people. I'm sorry, I've seen enough of these shows at this point to think like when the Targaryen is involved, innocent people might die. And I just there are so many that I could list that you'd be like, they kind of suck. But this guy here, to me, I don't even think Dunk gets a trial by combat if it's not for Baylor. It's not like they were just going to chop his head off or his hand or his foot.
Yeah, I mean, you flip a coin for Targaryens to see if they're good or bad, and I feel like throughout the stories that we've read in the world of Westeros and beyond, we usually get the tails side of that. We don't usually pick the good ones. We watch House of the Dragon, and it's like, well, you got these guys who are a little bit better than these guys, but they're all kind of bad. So it's nice to see a Targaryen that is not mad.
Right. This one seems like
Yeah.
he has good sense, at least a little bit. I guess another good Targaryen. We got to talk about Egg, or officially Aegon Mari. They finally said his name.
Yeah, finally.
Didn't lie.
Because there's no Prince Egg, right?
Right.
Dunk said, I've never heard of a Prince Egg. So yes, we get Aegon in his full regalia, wearing his colors, and you can just see the pain we talked about a little bit last week, between Dunk feeling like he was lied to, feeling made to be a fool and all of that. But Egg is like, no, I still love you, bro.
This was a very interesting turn for Egg for me, Taryn, because Egg, up until this point, has been very like astute and kind of mature for a tiny child, right? Like he knows a lot of things about Westeros. He's very much the brains of the operation between him and Dunk. And last episode, even he stands up to his brother. He makes the people stand down, like, no, unhand him, that kind of thing. He was in charge. And now, even in this screenshot, Egg is back to like, but I was a little kid and I just wanted to be a squire. Please don't be mad at me. It's such a different change for Egg. What have you been thinking about Egg's character throughout the season?
I like this turn because it does, I think, humanize him in a good way where, here's this very privileged child who's gone through some stuff, clearly. But somebody who is like empathetic and very open-minded in the way that Baylor seems to be, coming from a family of royalty. But at the same time, does not understand the true consequences of his actions. He thinks, yeah, I can just hop aboard with this dude and pretend to be some commoner squire. And like, what, how could that possibly be a bad thing? And why would he why would he feel bad about it? And now being faced with those repercussions, not only for Dunk in this situation, but also like for his relationship with Dunk, he is like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that. I'm just a child, and I thought I knew everything. And I thought like the world was kind of my playground a little bit. And it turns out I need to be a little more careful with the people I lied to and the things that I choose to do, because what I choose to do has ramifications.
Right. That's the thing about, I guess, the nobility that they often highlight in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon is that like the things that they do up top, a lot of times the small folks are just like their pawns in whatever, plans that they have. And so for Dunk, he was the pawn. He got played here. It wasn't like he thought he had a friend. I mean, he might even have a friend, but he definitely didn't think he was a part of just like Egg's quest to just get what he wants. You know, he's a little prince, and he like, this is what I wanted to do, so I did it. What could possibly go wrong? And meanwhile, Dunk is the one who almost got killed because of it. You know, when there's somebody to save, Egg goes directly to Dunk, Mari, and says like, okay, fix it. And now Dunk is going to suffer the consequences of that.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's a testament also to Dunk that Egg felt safe enough to go to Dunk in that time of need, because he knows that Dunk has that moral code to help people. But you're right. It's that sense of that sense of entitlement that Egg is like, I can do what I want as long as I'm pure-hearted. My intent was not to hurt anybody, and Egg says it, and Baylor, you know, tells him it doesn't matter if that was your intent, if this is what happened, you know. And I think it's such a great lesson for Egg. Unfortunately, it's a great lesson for Egg, but it's like Dunk's head, hand, and foot are on the line in this lesson, you know. And so now we are at a big, not even a standstill, but we've diverted the whole tourney. You know, Chappell was waiting for Dunk to get
Taran, I really thought Dunk was going to be in the tournament, and I guess with 2 episodes left, maybe that's not going to happen. I don't know.
That's not going to happen. So yeah, so this, and it just shows you how one decision can change the course of history, type thing, you know.
Yeah, I liked Egg last episode because he was just like this little mighty character who was just demanding the room. You know, he walked in and it was kind of like, who's a little girl? Liana Mormont, I think is her name, right? She's just a little badass, right? Like she but then in this episode, I was like, Liana Mormont would never, you know, she's not like cowering in the corner, like, oh, please don't be mad at me. And so I did like the shift. Dunk will tell, Egg will tell Dunk, like, hey, Uncle Baylor wants to talk to you. And as Mari is kind of already flagged up, you do have options. We could chop off your hand, we could chop off your foot, but you could just do a trial by combat if you're that good. Or maybe if, you know, my nephew is a coward and doesn't want to fight you. And so we will see Dunk go in and demand his trial by combat. And Ariane just says, no, I'm not doing that. And me and Makar at the same time were like, you can't do that. Mari, he can do that, right? He could just be like, no.
He can do that. It is we talked about it last week. There have only been 2 trial of the sevens, and you know, this is now one of them. It's an ancient custom that honors the gods. They said it in the show. It honors the 7 gods of the Andals by having a champion on each side that represents each god or whatever, and the number represents the gods. And I thought this was such a great, it was like Uno reverse. Like Arian was like, no, Uno reverse. Like you came with a trial by combat, I come with a trial of 7. And knowing that he's a hedge knight, knowing it was probably, I don't know how much if he knew about if it was hard for him to even get into the tournament at all, but still, he's like, I can command. Half of the people who are fighting for Arian are commanded to fight for him. Like the 3 Kingsguard have to fight for him. So Arian can find some people like that. He knows that if Dunk can't find the 7, then automatically he loses. So it's such a brilliant stroke of genius for Arian as well. And I thought it was really, really a really funny moment, and it shows kind of like the underhanded, like cowardliness to it as well.
I will say this, Taran, I was very impressed with Ariane in this moment. It is cowardly. However, the actor doesn't play it as like cowardice, right? I feel like if this is Joffrey, he's like fumbling around trying to figure out, okay, how do I get out of this? Ariane had this on the tip of his tongue, right? This thing has only happened one other time, and he's like, yeah, then that's what I want. Like even his dad's looking at him crazy, like, what exactly is that? I mean, look at the look on his face. He's so like, he knows that this is what he wants. there's nobody, like the only people questioning it are the people who would think that this is so outlandish, but for him, this is a realistic possibility. And he says it's because there's more at stake than just, is Dunk guilty? There's also the honor of the Targaryens. You know, this whole crime was at our expense anyway. And, you know, maybe he kidnapped Egg, because that lie is out there too. So Taran, what do you think about the way this scene played out?
It's very interesting, and obviously, like, not knowing where the story goes and sort of knowing how George likes to write, it did sort of get my wheels turning in terms of like he seemed a little too prepared for Dunk
Yeah.
to come in like asking for trial by combat.
Mhm.
And he doesn't strike me as the type that's like super knowledgeable about all the ancient customs. So like, where did this come from is a little suspicious. And also like, for as good an idea it is for him to like for him to, I guess, like, win the battle, it's also, it's like it's terrible PR. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, which clearly this guy does not care about. In fact, he
Does
seems to
not care.
want the bad PR, the
Yeah.
way that he killed the horse, and everything. So it very much fits in line with what he's looking to do, while being seemingly the opposite of what Baylor wants. And so like my small theory was like, is there a world where Baylor also told Arian about the seven thing so that he could fight on the side of Dunk, so that he could be
Oh,
like, look,
Mm.
look, better PR. But that's maybe a little too complicated. Either way, though, it was definitely just in terms of a story beat, it was one of those things that, of course, I think helps raise the stakes a bit more, because if this was just Dunk versus Arion, you have a pretty good idea who's just going to win that fight, you know? Like,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we have a pretty good idea of how this is going to go. But bringing in this idea that you need to find allies, you need to find support, ties into the theme of the story so far, which is that Dunk is this hedge knight who comes to this tournament and can't find a single person to vouch for him. And now all of a sudden, in order to survive, he needs to find allies and support. And due to his actions and the relationships he's built so far, he finds that support, and that is so much better in terms of like the story than anything else could have been.
Mari,
Right.
in the past, when we have trial by combat, it's to the death. Correct? Like, I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
seen one that just stopped. But
Yeah.
the 7 is not to the death.
Of the Trial of the Seven, it's not, you're using blunted instruments. So and it's, if your whole side yields, because you can yield as well, you can either be killed or you can yield. And whichever side has either a surviving person or a person who didn't yield, then that's where it goes. Again, this is only the second one. The first one did end in like everybody dying.
Oh. So they can do what they want.
Exactly. Like the first one did end with like a whole side being wiped out, and then the other side, I think, only having like 2 people or 1 person alive. So it's just the how far do the combatants want to take it, right? Again, this is still a tourney style, and this could be seen as the equivalent of a melee. They do melees in tournaments, and the melees in tournaments again have blunted weapons, so people do get hurt. It's again, how much pain are you going to take? How ferocious are people going to fight? You know, type of thing.
Yeah,
If that
I
makes
enjoy.
sense.
No, I enjoy the idea of this, but I just feel like, you know, for me, they pulled this. Obviously, they pulled this out of nowhere for a lot of people. But you know, prior to this, remember all the trials of combat we had, where like Tyrion's like, I need a champion. You know, I was like, I thought
Yeah.
Dunk might grab a champion. You know, we'd seen people who we thought could potentially be willing to fight. I mean, they're going to be alongside Dunk in this moment, but there was no talk of that. It went from trial by combat, which to me was like life or death, to okay, a trial by 7, which is, you know, we could just kind of stop if we want to.
But that's the reason. Trial by combat is to the death. Like when it's the accuser on accusee, that is to the death. And they're both knights. So getting a champion, what Arian can't grab a champion, that makes you look weak. Dunk
Yeah.
can't grab a champion, again, it makes you look weak. So it's another way for Arian to like weasel out of it, in a way. So
Yeah.
less
Okay.
stakes are a little lower.
Taran, was this a new concept for you as someone who has not read the Dunk and Egg story, or did they mention this in any of the other books that you'd read?
I'm sure there's a thing mentioned, but that's one of those things that's like, I'm not going to remember.
Yeah, it's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, it was so early in the history of the books. It was like in 42 AC, the original Trial of the Seven. So, like, yeah, I do want to ask Aaron, as somebody who didn't read these books, you did know Egg's identity, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I knew the concept because I'd heard everyone talk about the series, and I'd seen people talk about. In fact, I've probably heard the broad story beats, or like read about them like long ago, and just forgot most of it. But I did know about, and I was curious about that too, like Egg's identity, because it did not feel like they went out of their way to hide it. Like it seemed very, which I kind of appreciated. This whole series is very sort of like, even this episode, which you're facing dire consequences, felt very kind of cozy, and and it's not trying to drop the hammer on you. It's kind of like giving you all the breadcrumbs. You don't need a big twist about the identity of this character, because that's a pretty, it wouldn't be that exciting to find out. I think it's like, here's a mysterious kid with his head shape. Like they lead you through the breadcrumbs. It's more about the relationship between these two characters than like their true identities. And so I think focusing on their relationship rather than the twist of the identity is actually a good decision.
So
Agreed.
So Dunk ends up wandering back into his sad tree. He goes to say goodbye to his horses in the rain. It's looking bad. It is really looking bad. But luckily, he's made a couple friends, including Raymond Fossaway, who shows up. And although Raymond Fossaway is not a knight yet, he knows somebody who is. And I will say this: I have some controversial opinions, but I think the character, this guy, is hilarious. I think Stephen Fossaway might be the funniest character in the world, because the way he lays it on so thick. He's like, when I find myself without answers, the answer is always a more glory. You shan't die under my watch, sir. You shan't. And meanwhile, cut to him flipping back and going to the other side because there was more glory over there. Mari, he was going to win and potentially get a lordship. I screamed when he does his heel turn at the end.
It was so great, right? And even knowing it was coming, I was like, wow, sir. Wow. Like, but yeah, that was the vibes in the books as well. Again, they do it as the contrast, right? This whole episode is an episode about contrast. It's about who is a true knight. I think that's the underlying question here, is like, what makes a true knight? And I love just like Terrence said, the character interactions, and just putting these two people right next to each other, like, this is a quote unquote noble knight, and this is a hedge knight, and who has the most honor here? So Sir Stefan is, wow. What a dick.
Yeah, he sucks.
This was well set up too, I will say, because they introduce him in like the first episode, I think, as like a future villain in the tournament to overcome.
Yep.
And then you get to know his like cousin or whatever, and the cousin hates the Targaryens with a passion. And so when Dunk is talking to Sir Stefan, I was not expecting help from him, but then when he offers help, I was like, oh, their family hates the Targaryens. This kind of tracks. And so then when he does the heel turn, it did surprise me, even though I knew he was supposed to be a dick and a villain. And so it fit perfectly well. It was set up very well, I think, in that way.
It's exactly like what you were saying about the breadcrumbs. They were always there. This because
Mhm.
when Stefan is doing this, I am legitimately surprised that he's even offering his help. I was like, why are you here? You know, like this doesn't make any sense. But again, he's laying it on so thick. And then we know his cousin hates the Targaryens. So you can squint and see a reason why Stefan would do this. Okay, look,
Yeah.
glory, all right, fame. Okay, you shan't die under my watch, sir. Okay, Stefan, stepping it up. Only to find out, like, no, when the twist happens, it's not a huge twist because everything we know about Sir Stefan prior to the episode should tell you that he's not going to be working on their side. But we have to assemble our teams here, Mari. We have to figure out who all do we have on each side to make this happen. And Egg shows up to the rescue alongside Daron. Now, I was shocked by this. This man has completely lied on Dunk. He's like, all right, you kidnapped my little brother. You're the problem. I hope they kill you. And then he shows up here like, all right, I was tripping. Or maybe, he said he was fresh off of a foot whipping, Mari. What is that?
Sound, as far as I know, sounds like they was whipping his feet. I ain't never heard of that. That was weird.
Sounds like something they do in House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I guess that's how you punish nobility. Like you can't harm them, right? Because they're still royal blood. So it's kind of like my dad could whip my feet a little bit.
You think they're whipping your feet, or are they whipping you with their feet?
Oh, see, that's how House of the Dragon would do it. It'd be foot on foot action.
Foot on foot. Feet flailing around.
Yeah. I think they somebody like was hitting his toes. Anyway, regardless, he ain't like it. He said, I'd rather be here than dealing with that. Luckily, my dad's not here. So they have to figure out a way after, they pull Dunk off of Daron. They have to figure out a way to assemble these teams. And Daron says, I'm going to be fighting for my brother, but I'm also going to take a dive. Mari, this is the second time through this season that we've heard somebody talk about like, yeah, just hit me and I'll just lose. It's fine.
I'll just fall over a little bit. Yeah. I thought it was so funny because I was like, oh, I wonder how many people think he's about to fight with him. And the fact that Dunk literally almost slit his throat right then and there anyways, too. And to be like, well, they can't kill me twice. And I was like, that's real. That's real. But yeah, Daron here, I love this actor. I don't know who it is, but my God, I loved him. And just this one little character beat. We haven't seen Daron since the first episode. He only has 5 minutes here, and he uses them so spectacularly that I was like, this is just great. I love the drunkenness. I love the quips like, oh, if only my brother was born an apple. And just him talking about like, I'm sorry. He's like, I had to cover my ass. I had to tell him something. I couldn't just say like I was drunk and I let the boy get away. I had to be like, yeah, I looked for him and stuff, and this big scary dude came and took him. But he's like, my bad if I got you, if you die, my bad, sir. Again, Dunk being held to the expense of these rich entitled princes, and it's his life they're playing with.
Exactly. Which is the perfect contrast to Egg and how he acts and what we talked about earlier, which is that like Daron is the like older, more calloused version of Egg, maybe the version of Egg that he would grow up into, if not for meeting Dunk and having this interaction in the way that he is. And you can see that there's like, he doesn't seem like that bad of a dude compared to some of the other bad dudes. But he is very sort of cavalier and I think he, in his own mind, like it means it. He's like, sorry if you die, man. Ugh.
Tough.
Tough because like that's just the consequences of his actions sometimes. And he, like the people around him probably pay for the choices that he makes often, but he's not intending to do that. It's just, sorry, this is just, you're in the wake of my presence.
Hold
up, Chappell, sorry. Taran, Daron is a dragon dreamer. Can you explain to the audience what a dragon dreamer is?
So he dreams like prophecy, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a
Like
terrible name. I
Helena.
tried to name the foot
Helena.
guy earlier, and then
Oh, Laris. Is
um
Laris the foot guy?
Oh,
Laris
Laris.
there's the
Strong?
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
But
footy.
Helena,
Helena, yes.
yes.
So yeah, I forgot about that bit. And he dreamed of Dunk having slain a dragon.
Well, not quite.
Yes.
Darren, it was like I
Or
dreamed of Dunk being next to a dead dragon or under
right.
a dead
Yes,
dragon.
yes, true. Very
Under a
true.
dragon. Yeah. Under
Which
a
could
dead
mean
dragon.
anything. Which could
Which
really
could-
mean
Don't
Exactly.
let
And so
Aaron hear that.
yeah.
right.
Snap your
So
fingers.
okay. And so with Dayron here, we his prophecy. He is the dragon dreamer. We saw this with Fire and Blood. Everybody who's watched Fire and Blood should understand by now that Helena on there she could see, she basically gets dreams and prophecies, but they're always symbolic. It's
Yeah.
never straightforward. It's never so and so is going to happen, this is going to happen. It's always symbolic. And so what Dayron saw here and what he says when he sees them in the first episode, he said, I saw you in my dreams. And he sees a big dragon, a huge dragon with wings that span the meadow, and he falls over dead on top of you, Dunk. And Dunk specifically says, did I kill him? And he said, I can't say.
It's hard to know.
And this is the reason why I also Aaron as a character, because as we see with Helena, and as we know if from the histories, if you've read, a lot of dragon dreamers, it does follow the Targaryen legacy. Like, not only may they be mad, they might be dreamers. Some people think that Aerys too might have been a dreamer, but there's no the Mad King might have been a dreamer, but there's no so, and they all I love Dayron as a character because unfortunately his break. And what I inferred from, he has to get drunk, he has to get blackout drunk in order to not have those types of dreams. So again, it's probably one of those character beats that it's one of, if you know type thing, but Dayron is such a funny character here that I hope to see more of him in these next 2 episodes.
Yeah, his dream being that like Dunk survives a dead dragon laying on top of him, basically. It's like that could be anything, right? Because we know that one, he doesn't see Dunk slay the dragon, so we know a dragon dies, and there are a lot of dragon-esque characters around. It's not like this is a direct dream that this dream might have nothing to do with the next fight they're about to have, right? This the 7, and in fact there are other dragons involved in that fight as well. And so I'm very excited to see how much of this prophecy comes true to what we would think, or if there's like a twist in there, Taran.
Well, we know that the Targaryen dynasty is kind of like
fallen.
Coming, like there's an impending doom in terms of like the rebellions that are coming. And so, given the size of the dragon, it could just mean the Targaryens in general. And, what does that mean in terms of like Dunk's relation to that? Is he going to be in proximity to the Targaryens as they fall in one way or another? Is that going to harm him in one way or another? Like, I think there are all kinds of ways you can potentially interpret it.
One of my favorite character beats that we're getting from Egg is that Egg hates his brother. Egg hates Arion so much. And again, the breadcrumbs were there when Arion was in that joust. I think Egg is the one screaming from the crowd, kill him. And so to find out that that's his brother a couple episodes later, and he's like, hey, that's my brother. Please, that guy sucks. You know, he would sneak into my bedroom and hold a knife to my junk, and I'm sure he killed my cat. You know, like I couldn't tell if it was like, did he actually kill the cat, or is this like little kids blaming everything on their older brothers? Like I wouldn't put it past him. The guy looks like he sucks. So Egg has already chosen his side, and we have other people, you know, making their allegiances known. We know that Makar is going to be fighting alongside his son, and Dayron will be there as well, taking a dive. And then we got 3 members of the King's Guard. Now, by my math, Mari, of course, I was like, okay, that's 6. Who else they got? And I hadn't identified who that other person was. Spoiler alert, we will know Stefan Fossaway will flip sides and give them definitely a numbers advantage for sure, because Duncan's already having a hard time filling out his team. I kind of guessed it last episode when we talked. I was like, okay, we threw in the Mad Knight Robin, so he must be fighting with us, right? Because why else did he just walk up? Lionel, who we had a big character moment from in episode 1, and we've seen throughout, you know, with the tug of war and everything. I knew Lionel would be there. And then the biggest surprise for me, Sir Humphrey with his broken leg is like, nah, put me on the horse. I'm in. Put me in the game. So, Mari, that's the math to me is still not mathing. Who is this extra person that Sir Humphrey has brought with us?
So it's Sir Humphrey Beesbury in the background. He
Humphrey?
has the yes. I thought I said it in the book corner, but the day of the tournaments, before Arion breaks Humphrey Harding's leg, Humphrey Harding and Humphrey Beesbury had a really epic jousting match against each other. They broke like 8 lances or something against each other before and so it was called the Battle of the Humphreys at the tournament. And so then the next fight, Arion breaks Humphrey Harding's leg. So I think Beesbury is here because out of respect for the other Humphrey, and the 2 of them seem to be also pictures of true knighthood, because they were the champions of the day. They had the small folks favor before Arion just upset everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it was very peculiar. I thought that was very peculiar. They didn't even be like, and here's Sir Beesbury here too, because he is a descendant of Lord Beesbury from Fire and Blood, who got his head caved in as the first casualty of the War of the Dragons.
So was I the only one confused about that, Taran, or had you picked up who this other Humphrey was?
I had not. I didn't. I was honestly, I was a little surprised that we didn't know more about the people joining, especially like the fact that it was 7. I was like, oh, I wonder if we're going to be individually introduced to each one of these people.
Right.
And so when it was Stefan and the Baratheon and the guy that broke his leg, and I was like, okay, we're getting there. But then, yeah, there were a couple I was just like, okay, maybe. And so for me, it was more so just like a representation of the idea that Dunk had clearly sort of like made an impact and inspired people in a way that perhaps his old master hadn't, or his legacy didn't last at the very least. And also perhaps like a testament to the state of the Targaryen rule, that these people are not fearful of, participating in something against a guy that clearly is very vindictive. I thought that was like, in my like cynical, I guess, current society brain, I was like, well, obviously nobody would stand up to the tyrannical power, because then they'd lose their own positions, right? Like,
But I think it's also because Chappell, it was a throwaway line, because Lionel Baratheon comes in and he's like, and Dunk is like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad Sir Stefan grabbed you. And Lionel was like, who's Sir Stefan?
Who is that?
He said it was your boy that came and got me. And we know with this casual line, even though Egg said it before he left the tent, Egg was the one who went around to to try and gather support. So again, having a Targaryen princeling vouch for you kind of, I think, also helped be like, okay, I guess I'll stick my neck out here too. So yeah, that choosing portion, I guess I get that's if you're trying to cut time for a 30-minute show, that's where you do it. But I do kind of wish they did give us just a little bit more on each opponent. And again, I only know that who the sixth person is because one, they did flash him, they did flash his armor, and they did flash him. And I just looked it up. So it's
Can
in the
I just
book.
briefly
So
say, and because you just said armor, and it reminded me that like I think that this show has the coolest armor design I've ever seen in a
so
property.
good, right?
The armor is so good. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. It's so crazy. The armor is great, but they like the banners aren't as prolific as in the original Game of Thrones. I wonder if that's
I agree though
choice.
about the banners because Mari told me to look out for them, and now I'm looking. I'm like, oh, this like I remember, Game of Thrones years later. Like you see the banner coming a mile away. You can always like they were always flaunting their banners. Maybe this is because it's a time of peace. Maybe they're not doing it as much. I mean, that was basically a time of peace too, kind of. There were wars happening, Mari. Things
Yeah,
happened.
Game of Thrones. I mean, the War of the Five Kings.
Yeah, that was happening. So maybe that's why you gotta you throw your colors up a lot louder, I guess, in times over. I don't know, but I caught that too because I'm trying to catch on to the people in the backgrounds. But yeah, I agree that they could have given us more information about these people who end up joining the seven. But to me specifically, Beesbury, right? Like he's the only one that I couldn't. He could have been a random guy off the street for me because. You tell me this man broke his leg fighting against Ariana. Okay, I can see that. You want revenge. F it. Whatever. And the Mad Knight, he walked up and made friends with Egg, for like 30 seconds in one of the episodes randomly. So I could see that. Lionel had his moment. That one was just the one that was kind of like, what are we talking about? But you're right, Taran. Dunk has been doing a lot of good work socially around here. And I don't know, it's because is it because he's a true knight? He is defending the innocent. The stuff that he did with Tanzel the Tall or Too Tall, he saved her. And she should not have had her finger broken. God knows what else they would have done to her had he not walked in. And so we even see Steely Pete, the armor guy, being like, I gave you a new shield and all kinds of stuff. But Taran, to me, Dunk didn't literally love the shield at first. He didn't like it.
I know. He was like, if I'm being honest, I could not exactly tell what he was saying. It seemed to me like he was saying like, this is a portent of my death because the tree, like something in it was really
stars
dark, like this
falling out the sky.
So dark.
I couldn't really see what he was talking about. But then like the shield maker was like, no, it's green. Like there's life there. I was like, oh, okay. Like I was like, she's criticized her. She had a broken finger, bro.
Look, we found out a couple episode or so ago what you could do with only 3 fingers, Mari.
Oh Lord Jesus. Yeah. Hopefully Tanzel doesn't need to, go that route. Hopefully it heals and she can go back to painting and puppetry. But yeah, he says he's like the sunset is a portent of night, oncoming night. The star is falling, but Steely Pate here is like, but see, it's green.
It's summer.
It's summer.
Summer's life.
Summer's cool. But also, Steely helped replace the shield parts, like the metal parts of the shield, and gives it to him for a copper. And I think this is meant to show like the small folks have his back. You know what I'm saying? Because in the book we do get an extended scene of all the small folk cheering him on,
helping out.
But yeah. But this is what this is, meant to symbolize. It's like, keep your head up. We got your back, but the small folk can only do so much against nobility. And Dunk was just in his head at this point, right? He's just really coming to grips with the fact that he might die tomorrow. So it's just like everything he is seeing is a dark omen. And but Steely Pete's like, come on, man, yeah, rah rah rah, a little pep talk.
So yeah, and I thought that like the shooting star was like that was like their luck from before. So I was like, oh, that's sweet. Like it's that
he said she'd been going up and not down. Going down is bad, going up is good.
I also thought, and this was what was happening in my brain, was he was like, I've reinforced the shield, it's better now, it's a little bit heavier, but it's gonna be better. And like I took that to mean what it was supposed to mean, I think, which is like, oh, it's upgraded shield. But in my head, I couldn't help but think like, isn't that bad? Like, isn't it bad to give somebody a different weighted shield so that the first time they're using it is when they're like it's life or death, and they're going to be using something that they're not used to? Like, I've never used a shield before in my life, but that feels risky to me. But okay, I mean, I get the point. It's better. It's probably going to function better. He's probably going to have a moment where, ooh, yeah, it worked really well. But like, realistically, shouldn't you want to keep it the same? I don't know. We want to practice with the shield first to get used to the weight.
Yeah, he needs to do some practice reps or something like that. I mean, to
it was
be fair,
Sir Arlen's shield though.
It was, but to be fair, his practice probably to this point hasn't been much anyway. I mean, that's the whole thing with Dunk's, I mean, your Egg's uncle. He's like, so how you fight? And he's like, kinda tilted some rings.
We don't even know if he's good yet. I mean,
yeah,
we have to assume he is, because I don't think he's gonna die. But like, like I think one of the underlying mysteries of the show so far is like, is Dunk some kind of like
Savant.
master swordsman who's gonna be able to like, do a bunch of that doesn't fit the vibe of the show that well, but also he needs to be somewhat good. Like he needs to be able to defend himself. So what are they going to do with his skill? I think is very interesting. And the more you sort of push him down, the more you want him to be some like godlike swordsman. But at the same time, I also kind of don't want him to be a godlike swordsman, because I kind of like the more realistic, kind of just like everyday man vibe that the show gives off. So I'm still sort of at the edge of my seat, not necessarily due to the outcome of this upcoming battle, because again, like there's 3. Like, this is 1. But also because I'm so curious to know just how actually good he is at fighting. And that is actually like engaging intense to me. Like I'm wondering what it is.
Yeah, same. Now, there are definitely reasons to question whether or not, like, I mean, aside from plot armor, you'd be like, all right, well, how is Dunk going to survive this? Because we even see that maybe Dunk doesn't even really know the whole, like, this is how you knight a person situation. Mari, this scene was very interesting to me. So there's Stefan is like, I'm out, I'm going to the other side. And so Raymond says, okay, bet, put me in the game, knight me. And we get Dunk hesitating because he doesn't know what he's doing. Lionel stepping up, and we get like a little image here of my guy Sir Arlen, his face as he was knighting Dunk. Did Sir Arlen even know what he was doing by knighting Dunk? Like, look, why did they include this, Mari?
They included this because we have to question Dunk's knighthood here, to be quite honest. And I love that was the impression that you got from this, because for me, I was like, oh no, Dunk is confirming he's not a true knight, to be quite honest. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking, because when Stefan is like, when Raymond was like, knight me, and so Lionel's like, any knight can make a knight, gone ahead and do it. and Dunk is hesitating. To me, it's not that he doesn't know the words, because I mean, he keeps saying it, knight's honor and stuff like that. I don't think it's that. To me, it was like a hesitation, because Dunk has always been hiding that he was never truly knighted by Sir Arlen. So does he want to knight Raymond when he is no true knight? And so he gets out of it. Raymond is knighted by Sir Lionel, and I love this. I just loved how they did this. This whole episode was so great, especially these last 10-15 minutes. But we're getting Raymond getting knighted. We hear Sir Lionel's the words of the knighthood. We're seeing the angle of Sir Lionel knighting Raymond. And then, like you said, in contrast, we get this angle that's flashing through Dunk's mind as he's going to look for more people. And it's like, I like your thought process of like Sir Arlen being like, I want to knight you, but I don't know the words. When I was just for me, I was thinking he was like, I don't think I should knight you type thing. So I just oh my God, this was so good to me. Taran, which side did you fall on?
Yeah, what do you think about Sir Arlen in general, Taran? I have been questioning this man since episode 1, basically.
My thought process was like, at the very least, this was like imposter syndrome. This was just like, even if I was an official knight, I still don't feel like I have the power to like, I just became a knight. I've barely proven myself. Who am I to knight you? I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to be able to do that. Which and they definitely dropped that big hint earlier in the season as well, that like the way that he panics when he's questioned, like, did anybody see this happen? And so it obviously, I think, makes a lot of sense that he would be like, I've been pretending that I was not as well. So, like in my sense of like, this is a step too far for me to bring him into this. Like, ideally somebody else does this, and that decision is taken out of his hands, luckily for him. But I also think that sort of adds another element also to like, his upset with Egg and the way that Egg was lying to him, and his frustration with that, and making me wonder like how much of that is also him kind of upset with himself for essentially doing something very, very similar. And I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. So hold up, Chappell. Sorry, before we move on. I just want to say, like, and this doesn't need a book corner thing, or like, I love how open-ended it is. I love that all three of us saw the same thing and thought different things about it, because to be quite honest, even after reading the series, it's never explicitly like stated what happened with Duncan and Sir Arlen. Is Dunk a true knight? Because again, the central question of the whole series is what makes a true knight. So doing the whole silly ritual, does that make you a true knight if you still don't act within accordance of the chivalry code? So I love that, the open-endedness of all of that.
It is suspicious that Sir Arlen knighted Dunk and nobody was around to see it. Sir Arlen, who, as far as Dunk knows everybody. Okay, Sir Arlen has served with all of y'all. He know all y'all people. Y'all don't remember him, but I promise you, he was outside with y'all. Like that guy just knighted you out in the middle of nowhere where no one can see it, no witnesses, and he would know that you would probably need a witness or at least somebody to vouch for you at some point. Maybe he thought he would be that guy for the rest of eternity until you got some, I don't know, some type of accolades. But it's very interesting for sure. I just don't trust Sir Arlen at this point. But I do like Dunk enough to be like, nah, to me, Dunk is a knight, because he goes out and he's looking for his last spot filler. He goes, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with the 12th man. Mari, you familiar with Texas A&M football?
No, but I can guess.
So the 12th man in Texas A&M football is like this story that they always tell, where they were basically playing a football game and they were down a player and they needed somebody. And so like it was like, the game is on the line. We just need somebody to suit up. And a guy like stands up in the crowd and they're like, get him. And then he comes down on the field and he wears the uniform, and then they win the game or something like that. Right. And so since that moment in history or whatever, they call their fandom the 12th man, because they stand up the entire football game from beginning to end. Nobody sits down, because at any time you can be called onto the field, like theoretically, metaphorically or whatever, to be a part of the team. And so Duncan's basically doing that. Like, who wants to be my 12th man? And Only one guy stands up to fart, but nobody else is coming from the crowd. And it's like a riveting speech because he really is asking, like, you noble houses, you lords, all you people claim to be about this life, and yet here you are letting me go down for something that any knight would have done, any real knight would have done. Baylor even says, like, I think at one point Dunk asked him, like, what would you have done in this situation? He's like, I probably would have done what you did, but I'm also a prince and I know the rules. Taran, do you think Dunk is being naive even to think that any knight would have struck a prince in that moment?
Well, any knight, yeah. I mean, obviously, not any knight would have done that.
Yeah, plenty would have.
But he's trying to appeal to their sense of honor and morality. And I think that there are probably a lot of people in those stands that would at the very least like to think that they would, but are not willing to stand up and defy the Targaryens. But this is, I think, an essential component of Dunk's characters, that he has this very idealistic view of knighthood and honor and how the world kind of should work, which I think is interesting given his seeming upbringing. Like, it's not like, you kind of wonder where that comes from, given that he was like essentially orphaned and then under the tutelage of like a drunken master for all of his life. So like, where does this sense of storybook heroism come from? I think is an interesting question to ask. But yeah, I mean, he tries to speak this into existence and it doesn't happen. And so my thought watching this after the fact was like, like when that guy stood up, do you think Baylor was like peeking through the door, like, if this guy actually steps forward, I need to go in sooner?
Yeah. Do I go? Yes or no? Yes, no, yes. No.
I didn't think he'd actually be able to get anyone. Hold on. Wait, I'll do it.
No, please, sir, sit down. You don't know what you're doing here. No, that's a good point. Or maybe after the guy farts, that's when Baylor gets up and like, you know what? Fine, I'll do it.
It's like he was all dolled up, like he was ready to go. It's not. It didn't strike me that he like reacted to. I mean, granted, he could. I think he actually would have been suited up anyway, theoretically. But it definitely seems to me like he had intended to do this.
Yeah, Mari. Yeah. Was Baylor showing up premeditated, or do you think Dunk riled him up?
No, definitely premeditated. Definitely premeditated. Because I think he knew that Sir Stefan was going to switch sides, right? Because Sir Stefan leaves that tent and he goes straight to Aerion. Like, let's be real. Sir Stefan didn't do anything but be like, "Ha, guess what? They want me on his side, but you give me a little lordship and I'll come to your side, type thing." So no, this was definitely planned. Now again, there's no way Dunk was gonna get 7. So I think it was right for him to be like, let me go down there, and then maybe if he needs some more people, some people come down because of me, type thing. But I love this moment. I love the actor that plays Baylor, but I still wanted his voice to be a little bit booming when he said that he was gonna fight for Dunk. I was like, that was a little. Dunk just did this Braveheart style speech, and it was amazing. He was like, "I'll fight for Sir Duncan." I was like, "That's great," but I don't know. Maybe that was just me. But anyways, the helmet coming off, the Game of Thrones theme in the background, just absolute perfection here. Just so great.
But this is Baylor turning on his family, essentially. Maekar is right there, like, "Hello, that's my son." He's like, yeah, but if it's justice will prevail, right? Like, so nothing to worry about here. But I have to imagine, Mari, in a family that's already been like torn apart due to civil war and stuff like this can't be good for morale. People are already looking at the Targaryens and being like, "Well, they don't really got dragons anymore, do they?" Like, I don't know how Baylor, like, socially, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's next up, but this has to be something that Maekar is never going to look at and let go anytime soon.
Right, and that's the thing, right? Because Baelor outranks Maekar. Baelor is the highest ranking Targaryen present. So for him to pick that side, it is a massive like signal to the small folk because again, like Taryn pointed out, and like we've been pointing out for the past few weeks, this was supposed to be a PR. This is supposed to be a good PR run for the Targaryens. This has quite literally been the worst outcome that could have happened, other than them just staying away from this small tourney. Remember, like this was not supposed to be a big tourney. They are eating Lord Ashford out of house and home.
Right.
And have him crawling around the floor looking for Aryan's nut. Like this has been a loss. This has been an L for the Targaryens in terms of how the small folk perceive him. So Baelor coming at this moment is actually good for them overall, the look. However, like you said, within the family, Maekor, probably is not going to take lightly to this. But I will say I do love the way that they're portraying Maekar in this in this iteration, because maybe I'll save this for the book corner. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, but it's just like Maekar seems he seems a little upset, but not too upset. He kind of seems kind of like aloof-ish to me. He said some things that could kind of come off dumb. Like, is that coming off? Has that come off to you guys? It's like in the books, Maekar is just mean. He's just mean, and you kind of see like Arion is terrible, but Maekar is like just overtly mean in the books. And here I don't necessarily get that from him. I actually really like the weird characterization here. Taryn, where am I in the
No, yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know what like the aim is in terms of like the character from the book, but I do like the characterization I've seen. In the same way that like Taran is sort of seemingly like the older version of Egg, who is like more callous. Um, what is his name?
Maekar?
Maekar.
He seems like the older, more jaded version of Arion, where it's like he has that cruelty in him, but he just can't. He just doesn't care enough.
Yeah.
So like, he doesn't have that like flame of passion, and he's just embarrassed about oh, just like, dude, you're making yourself look so weak, man. Like almost like he has experience doing that himself when he was younger, right? And so you do feel like, and obviously, you know, George Martin's a master of character work. And when an adaptation is done well, you can really even add to that. And so, yeah, I really get this very lived-in sense from that character, and I've never gotten the sense that he's like a good guy or an ally by any means. But you know, like if you crossed him, he'd probably do some very bad things. But he's also not like gonna go out of his way to ruin you, because he's got other things he wants to do. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the vibe I get.
No, I totally agree. I think that, you know, I guess the opposite of that is like the Cersei and Joffrey dynamic, right? Where he's evil, but she's like his evil backing. Like, you know, like, no, like that's my son. He let him be evil. He could do what he want, you know, like that's kind of the vibe. Whereas Maekar doesn't seem like he's that into the evil part either. Like, it's like I could go there if I want to, but like it's like, nah, this is like it's very odd that this is happening, if anything, you know. And I even thought that about Arion to an extent when when Dunk hits him. It wasn't this fiery passion of just like, now you gotta die, little man. It was more like, oh, that's crazy. I can't believe you did that. Like, what? Why would you? You know you're gonna die, right? Like, this is weird. You know, this is very odd. You know, like I just not getting the passion from them as like villains, whereas like if anything, they're nuisances. And so I don't know. Maybe there'll be more to see later on. Who knows?
I think it very much fits like the ailing dynasty vibe of like, we are supposed to uphold the image of being all powerful. You dare do anything that undermines us. We will strike back. But like, with none of the real teeth behind it. It is just kind of like a rote kind of system of like, we are going through the motions of being very powerful, but in reality, we're kind of not.
Yes, exactly. It's like, are you disrespecting me? Are you disrespecting me? It's very that. It's like, I can't be disrespected. If you're disrespecting me, I gotta now bite back, but I can't. And I love all of this. It's just so good. It's so subtle, and it's something you only get in this type of small, nuanced, character-driven show that has been so different from the big world expanding other shows that we've gotten from the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah. Even to pick Arion next to like, okay, because he says he's the embodiment of a dragon, right? He's a human, the dragon in human form. But like Viserys, Daenerys' brother used to say the same thing. And Viserys is not acting like this. Viserys is like going off the handle. You know, like you hit Viserys and we all gonna hear about it all day. It's like, oh my God. Like he's never, it's like his reaction is like, how dare you? Are you crazy? Like I am a dragon. I am the king, you know, like you just don't get that from Arion. And so I am enjoying kind of like the difference. This is a lot softer. I mean, they're about to use some blunted instruments apparently to do this fight anyway, so maybe that's a part of it. But Taran, what did you think about this episode and so far as the series as a whole? Like how is this playing for you as someone who's seen all the rest of it and read some of the stuff behind the scenes?
I've loved. I thought this episode was phenomenal. I thought this was so good. The thing that I said about the show after watching the first episode or two, I don't recall if I had seen the second one yet. When I talked about this on the Tastemakers, was that like, I really liked it, but I wasn't sure if week to week was the right pacing for it because of how short it was. And the people that I was talking to like had watched the whole thing in a binge because they got screeners and they really enjoyed it. And I was like, I almost wonder if this would have been a better show or would be a better show to watch in a binge. And I think that probably would have been true for the first 1, 2, maybe even 3 episodes. But then watching this one, I did kind of feel like, okay, I actually kind of like that I had time for this to build. That if I had watched this right into a binge, you know, this might not have been as impactful. I wouldn't have been living with these characters for as long. And so I'm a little less convinced of my initial impression in that sense. But either way, I really enjoy it. I mean, I think that especially now that we've hit this moment, and I think that tracks for a lot of George Martin stories also, that like they take a second to rev into it, and then once you hit that sort of inciting incident, you're locked in. And I think that's where we are here. I think that anybody watching this show, I think I've seen a lot of praise for this episode, and I think a lot of people are like fully bought in at this point. And so, so at this point, I do think the week to week still works, even though the episodes are short, which is weirdly frustrating at times. But but I do think fits the show well enough, and you know, luckily the pit is running at the same time, so it's like I've got enough. If this was the only show I was watching right now, I'd be like, "Come on, man, you gotta give me more than a half hour." But there's some other stuff on, so it's like, all right, this is a nice little taste of something fun. So I've really enjoyed it.
Mari, you once said this could have been probably a movie. Do you still feel that way after this episode, or are you okay with the pacing now that we've gotten 4 episodes in?
You know, the pacing has never been a problem for me because I know where it's going. I understand the pacing can be a problem when you don't know where it's going. But honestly, I've been saying I love the whole week to week thing because we all get to do this. We all get to sit with it a week. We all get to watch it multiple times. We all get to talk about it online. If a show is good or engaging, it will drive the people to it. It will make that conversation, and that conversation will only make the product feel better, even if you're hate watching it for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's anything I learned from this or Heated Rivalry this past year, that the weekly drops just only help your characters. When I'm looking at stuff like Bridgerton, you're dropping 4 episodes at once, and then I have to wait a month for another 4 episodes. By the time those next 4 episodes come on, I'm not going to give a shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and then why do we even do it like that? just drop all 8 or drop it weekly. So it's just like I love the week to week drop because we get to sit in it, and just like Taran said. So I don't hate it. I'm so glad that we've hit the stride. Once these next 2 episodes come out, like I said, as soon as it's over, this is one of those things that I know I'm gonna binge. I'm then gonna go back and completely binge it, and then really be able to tell you how I felt about if it was weekly or it could have been a movie style format. But it's been so great. This has been awesome, and I'm so glad. I was looking at comments. People are loving episode 4. I think episode 4 got a 9.7 out of 10 on IMDb. I think I saw somewhere. Like, I'm glad we're all here now. We're all on the bandwagon. We have more room.
No, this was great. But that's it for our conversation about the episode. If you are spoiler averse in any way, like Mari's not gonna spoil everything because she don't want me to be spoiled, but she is going to give us some background about some of these moments and the way it's depicted in the book in our book corner. So feel free to tap out now. But if not, Maester Mari, we gotta get you some theme music. Maester Mari, what do you have for us
like
for our theme? Yeah, like Baylor. We got. Yeah.
Quite honest, there's not much I want to talk about in this episode because I feel like next episode is going to be like legit, like a lot to talk about. I just really want to flag up Arian's decision for the trial of the 7. What wasn't included was Daron was actually there when Aaron decided to do the trial of the 7, and it kind of is like he also pissed off my brother here. So my brother, technically, Daron gets first crack at him. It's just so we could both kind of get first crack at Dunk, it's like a family thing. And Daron is like, I don't want it. And Arian's like, I mean, come on, we both need to be avenged. Daron is like, no, I don't want to be. It's for all of us. We all need this. So trial of the 7. Yeah. And in the book, he does come up with it. It literally goes straight into him like, nope, trial of 7. Trial of 7.
Yeah. What does that mean about Arian though? Like why? Well, I know the brother part makes it look very cowardly, but for him to just have that on the tip of his tongue, is like, is he that cowardly to where he's been planning this contingency the whole time? Like, just in case they make me fight this man, I need to have a backup plan.
I mean, Arian's been disrespecting people all tournament. I'm pretty sure he has
like contingency upon
he
contingency.
Might have been like, man, just he moves as if somebody who doesn't care about the consequences. And again, it might be because he knows how to evade them.
Yeah, I mean, he there's a world, and this is me completely, this is me going off book for sure. But like, there's a world where like this guy genuinely feels like, we need to assert our power over everyone else. I want to provoke people. I want them to be scared of me. And because of that, I need to be prepared with like how I'm gonna deal with the consequences of that. And I'm gonna like do a trial of 7, and then nobody's gonna back up anybody I piss off, ideally. And even if they do, I've got the King's Guard with me, and we'll just crush any response and show people that like we are the power in Westeros. And in his mind, it's like that's good for their rule.
Yeah,
because I think it's to counter Baylor, right? Because again, Baylor is the next heir, and he has a legacy of being a just man, a just ruler. A lot of people are looking forward to his reign. He is the sensible Targaryen. I saw a lot of people being like, it seems like the black-haired Targaryens seem to kind of be the good ones, So he is a just ruler. But again, we have Maekor and we have Arian. Again, Maekor is the 4th brother in this line. Arian is the 3rd one. He's right before Egg. But they are the ones who have the Targaryen looks. They have the platinum blonde hair, the purple eyes. They have what they feel like is the blood of the dragons. And being the lesser brothers, it's like they have to assert themselves more. They in one eye type thing. It's like when you are born so far down the line of succession, it's like you have to make a name for yourself in some way, shape, or form. So another reason to call a trial of the seven is to put your name in the history books, because now whenever that looks up, people look that up, all the names of the participants are going to be in there. And Lionel Baratheon even said that he's like, I can't miss a trial of the seven. And so it's all of these little underlying reasons that get us to this point, you know. And the flailing dynasty is at the top of the card there. That it's the number one reason.
Mari, we got a question from Samantha Constantine 5. She says, I have a question for Maester Mari about the prophecy Egg gets in the 3rd episode. I know it invites spoilers, so here we are in the book corner to talk about it. But she said, I've looked all through a wiki of Ice and Fire, and it doesn't seem to me that everyone rejoiced at Egg's death. Am I missing something? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but could you talk about your perspective of that prophecy in that moment?
Yeah, I agree. That's what I said. I was like, I don't think people really rejoiced in his death. He was, again, a very fair king who ruled over a time of peace. However, like I said, a lot of his children pissed off a lot of noble houses against Egg's wishes. They went back on basically every marriage pact that he had for them. And they went back on the whole, he's like, I don't like this incest stuff. Like, I don't want y'all marrying each other. And 2 of his kids went behind his back and got secretly married. So again, I don't necessarily think it's the rejoicing of Egg himself's death. It's just, again, another blow to the Targaryen dynasty as a whole, that the people could have been rejoicing. But from all indications, Egg was a very good king, and he was a very unlikely king.
Got it.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is sort of intentional misdirection, in the sense that, like, in the same way that, like, you're not sure if Dunk is a good fighter yet. You're, like, not sure if this young prince is actually gonna grow up to be, like, he could be mad when he grows up. You don't know. And you know, so, like, the direction of his youth and the experiences that he has are gonna shape him as he grows older. And so
Exactly.
I think this uncertainty about his future adds importance to the, you know, adventures he gets up to, and the experiences, the things he takes away from that.
Yeah. And how about just revealing that fortune to him shapes how he holds himself, right?
Knowing that you're supposed to be looked at in a poor way later on, you probably go above and beyond to maybe subvert those expectations, right? And to, like, all right, like, I'm gonna just be the best king ever, because there's no way that lady was right about me.
Or maybe you can't die twice.
Or, but yeah, you can't die twice, so you're like, whatever. Yeah, like, okay, they're gonna rejoice regardless of what I do, so I might as well. And honestly, if you tell me that Egg is like this really good king, and then his, like, kids go off to piss everybody off to where they're rejoicing when Egg dies, I'm kind of in the you can't die twice camp. Like, well, if anything you gonna do is gonna get you people rejoicing when you die, live a little, have some fun, you know. So
God.
But anyway, Mari, anything else from the book corner before we wrap up?
No. I also did want to comment on Terrence, like, we don't know if Dunk is a good swordsman. We don't, but at this point, I'm like, that dude is huge. Like,
he's big.
Yeah.
He's big and strong. Like, I think at this point, that's all we need. Yeah, the little taste that we got when he was pissed off at Tanzel, he was like, like slinging like 3 or 4 guards around. So, I mean, at this point, I don't think he needs to be a master swordsman. He just needs to know how to throw a lot of his weight around, I would assume.
Right. And that, I think that's kind of like what I'm hoping for, is like, just realistically, he's a big dude and can probably do well. But if you put him up against, like, Jaime Lannister, like, it's probably bad news, you know?
Yeah.
Or even, I mean, I don't know how he would fare against Arion one-on-one, because I don't think, like a lot of these nobility, they be classically trained. They have
Right.
swords fight people like practice. I always had questions about Jon Snow in Game of Thrones OG, because he's like fighting at the wall or whatever, like kind of honing his fighting skills. But then like later on, he's kicking ass, and I'm like, there's some of these people that you beaten up that I'm like, I thought they had a little bit more, a little bit more backing when it came to like the training. He's like out there fighting with farmers and and people. So this definitely feels like Dunk would be outmatched, at least on a skill level, just from like basic mechanics. But again, there is a chance that in the middle of this fight, he just pulls out some type of maneuvers, and Lionel's looking at him like, now who are you? Who taught you this? He's kind of like, he just knows it. So I don't know if it's the instincts are going to kick in, or if he's just big, but based on the fact that this show probably already has a second season, Mari, I'm assuming that we ain't got nothing to worry about when it comes to Dunk.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So Mari, that's it for our book corner, and that is it for our recap of episode 4. This has been so much fun. Taran, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, great time. Anytime we get to talk to you outside of Big Brother season is always a joy.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's always a joy to be let out of my cave,
So
yeah.
Tell everybody what you've been working on in your cave, because you're not all the way out of the cave. Like, you still are doing podcasting and things.
I am, yeah. I'm actually doing a lot of stuff over on Patreon. I have my own Patreon, Taran Armstrong. I'm watching a bunch of shows like The Traitors. I'm doing a rewatch of The Genius, and watching shows like Jet Lag. We got Survivor coming up. We got House of Villains coming up. Basically, any reality show out there, I'm probably like watching it and covering it on Patreon, which has been very fun. I, of course, did write a book about Big Brother. You can find Behind the Mirror, TaranArmstrong.com. And we're talking Beast Games right now, Rob and I on RHAP.
Lord.
Okay.
I told you, any reality show.
He's doing it all. He's doing it all. Thank you so much again, Taran. And Mari, what about you? What else are you doing behind my back?
Well, of course, I'm over on Crime Scene, where me and Sarah Carradine talk true crime. We've been having such a blast with all of our guests over there. We just had Jason Reed on, where we traumatized him again. We absolutely love traumatizing Jason because he keeps coming back. I don't know why he keeps answering my phone. But we talked about the investigation of Lucy Letby, a documentary on Netflix, talking about the nurse who from the UK who was charged with unaliving 7 babies. So it was a interesting watch, but because we have Jason Reed there, it is an entertaining podcast. So go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe. That's crime SEEN pod.com. You can also go over to buymeacoffee.com/crimescenepod, where you can sling us a couple bucks and you'll get access to our membership, where we post shows early and ad free. We post whole episodes that only our Buy Me a Coffee supporters can see, and merch is coming, and that's where you can buy it as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, just type in Crime Scene to find us. I'm also on Blue Sky at Mari Talks Too Much.
And Talking Wrestling here on Recap Kickback.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Me and Matt just talked about the Royal Rumble a few weeks ago. Elimination Chamber is coming up. And of course, we will be having coverage for WrestleMania, because it is the road to WrestleMania right now, over here on the Wrestling Kickback. If you are subscribed to Recap Kickback, you will see us when we pop up. Make sure you have notifications on when we go live.
All right. And as for the rest of the Recap Kickback content, it's a ton of stuff going on over here. We got Wonder Man, the full series. We're going to be talking about that this week with Jason Reed and Anthony from the Talking Ish podcast. So check that out. Gia and I are still talking about Abbott Elementary. We just dropped our most recent recap this past week. And so after that, we're going to take a look at Gia's Substack, her newsletter about Black reality TV contestants, including and starting with Vecepia Towery from the Marquesas. We're going to watch it and talk about Vecepia and how she won And so tune into that if you are a Survivor fan. Latanya and I are still talking about It, Welcome to Derry. We just dropped our premiere episode, and now we have pairs of those episodes dropping every week. And then coming soon, America's Next Top Model has a documentary coming out on Netflix, and I have assembled a panel of people who are passionate about that. And so we're going to have them drag Tyra Banks for, I think they're doing 3 drops, Mari. And so yeah, we're gonna assemble whatever teams show up. I've been seeing conflicting reports about the release schedule. So yeah, tune into that and more. The best way to make sure you don't miss anything is by subscribing. Recapkickback.com/subscribe, or come here to our YouTube page, youtube.com/@recapkickback. And if you have any suggestions, any recommendations for us to talk about, the best way to get it to us is by joining our Facebook group, recapkickback.com/Facebook. But that's it. So for Taran, for Mari, and for myself, you ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell up out of here. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.
I've been trapped behind Swall Maria, isolated like it's North Korea. Smaller city with some bigger dreams. The wall is cracked, I'm looking in between it. The world is yours, but man, I gotta see it. They say it's hard, but man, I gotta see it. The air I'm breathing can't feel my chest. Wait on life, I wanna hold my breath. I'ma get in my goddamn self.